Good evening and welcome. Welcome back to The Longing. My name is Wazations, and I think today we're going to start off by reading some more of Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Maybe then we'll go for a little bit more of a wander, but I'm feeling like making a little bit more progress on the book. These bleak walls could use some more pictures. Problem is, we only have one piece of paper left, and we still don't have two of the colours. So we're not going to do another drawing until we have the rest of the colours or more paper. And we're going to read to... Oh no, it's idle reading. No, it isn't. We're going to read Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Zarathustra's Discourses. The Three Metamorphoses. Three metamorphoses of the spirit do I designate to you. How the spirit becometh a camel a lion, and a lion at last a child. Many heavy things are there for the spirit, the strong load-bearing spirit in which reverence dwelleth for the heavy, and the heaviest longeth its strength. What is heavy? So asketh the load-bearing spirit. Then kneeleth it down like the camel, and wanteth to be well laden. What is the heaviest thing, ye heroes? Asketh the load-bearing spirit, that I may take it upon me and rejoice in my strength. Is it not this, to humiliate oneself in order to mortify one's pride, to exhibit one's folly in order to mock at one's wisdom? Or is it this, to desert our cause when it celebrateth its triumph, to ascend high mountains to tempt the tempter? Or is it this, to feed on the acorns and grass of knowledge, and for the sake of truth to hunger of soul? Or is it this, to be sick and dismiss comforters, and make friends of the deaf who never hear thy requests? Or is it this, to go into foul water when it is the water of truth, and not disclaim cold frogs and hot toads? Or is it this, to love those who despise us, and give one's hand to the phantom when it is going to frighten us? All these heaviest things the load-bearing spirit taketh upon itself, and like the camel, which, when laden, hasteneth into the wilderness, so hasteneth the spirit into its wilderness. But in the loneliest wilderness happeneth the second metamorphosis. Here the spirit becometh a lion. Freedom will it capture, a lordship in its own wilderness. Its last lord it here seeketh. Hostile will it be to him, and to its last god. For victory will it struggle with the great dragon. What is the great dragon which the spirit is no longer inclined to call Lord and God? Thou shalt is the greatest dragon called. But the spirit of the lion saith, I will. Thou shalt lieth in its path, sparkling with gold, a scale-covered beast, on every scale glittereth golden, thou shalt. The values of 1,000 years glitter on those scales, and thus speaketh the mightiest of all dragons. All the values of things glitter on me. All values have already been created, and all created values do I represent. Verily, there shall be no I will any more. Thus speaketh the dragon. My brethren, wherefore is there need of the lion in the spirit? Why sufficeth not the beast of burden, which renounceth and is reverent, to create new values that even the lion cannot yet accomplish, but to create itself freedom for new creating? That can the might of the lion do, to create itself freedom, and give a holy nay unto duty, even unto duty, For that, my brethren, there is need of the lion. To assume the right to new values, that is the most formidable assumption for a load-bearing and reverent spirit. Verily, unto such a spirit it is praying, and the work of a beast of prey. As its holiest, it once loved thou shalt. Now is it forced to find illusion and arbitrariness even in the holiest things, that it may capture freedom from its love. The lion is needed for this capture. But tell me, my brethren, what the child can do, which even the lion could not do. Why hath the preying lion still to become a child? Innocence is the child, and forgetfulness, a new beginning, a game, a self-rolling wheel, a first movement, a holy yea. Aye, for the game of creating, my brethren, there is needed a holy yea unto life, its own will. Willeth now the Spirit, his own world, winneth the world's outcast. 3 metamorphoses of the Spirit have I designated to you. How the Spirit became a camel, the camel a lion, and the lion at last a child. Thus spake Zarathustra, and at that time he abode in the town which is called the Pied Cow. 2. The academic chairs of virtue. People commended unto the Zarathustra a wise man, as one who could discourse well about sleep and virtue. Greatly was he honoured and rewarded for it. And all the youths sat before his chair. To him went Zarathustra, and sat among the youths before his chair, and thus spake the wise man. Respect and modesty in presence of sleep, that is the first thing, and to go out of the way of all who sleep badly and keep awake at night. Modest is even the thief in presence of sleep. He always stealeth softly through the night. Immodest, however, is the night watchman. Immodestly he carrieth his horn. No small art is it to sleep. It is necessary for that purpose to keep awake all day. 10 times a day must thou overcome thyself, that causeth wholesome weariness, and is poppy to the soul. 10 times must thou reconcile again with thyself, for overcoming is bitterness, and badly sleep the unreconciled. 10 truths must thou find during the day, otherwise wilt thou seek truth during the night, and thy soul will have been hungry. 10 times thou laugh during the day, and be cheerful, otherwise thy stomach, the father of affliction, will disturb thee in the night. Few people know it, but one must have all the virtues in order to sleep well. Shall I bear false witness? Shall I commit adultery? Seems irrelevant. Shall I covet my neighbour's maidservant? All that would ill accord with good sleep. And even if one have all the virtues, there is still one thing needful, to send the virtues themselves to sleep at the right time, that they may not quarrel with one another, the good females. And about thee, thou unhappy one. That's a bit of an odd sentence. Peace with God and thy neighbour, so desireth good sleep, and peace also with thy neighbour's devil, otherwise it will haunt thee in the night. Honour to the government and obedience, and also to the crooked government, so desireth good sleep. How can I help it, if power like to walk on crooked legs? He who leadeth his sheep to the greenest pasture shall always be for me the best shepherd, so doth it accord with good sleep. Many honours I want not, nor great treasures, they excite the spleen, but it is bad sleeping without a good name and a little treasure. A small company is more welcome to me than a bad one, but they must come and go at the right time. So doth it accord with good sleep. Well, also, do the poor in spirit please me? They promote sleep. Blessed are they, especially if one always gives in to them. Thus passeth the day unto the virtuous. When night cometh, then take I good care not to summon sleep. It disliketh to be summoned, sleep the lord of the virtues. But I think of what I have done and thought during the day. Thus ruminating, patient as a cow, I ask myself, what were thy 10 overcomings? And what were the 10 reconciliations, and the 10 truths, and the 10 laughters with which my heart enjoyed itself? Thus pondering and cradled by 40 thoughts, it overtaketh me all at once, sleep, the unsummoned, the lord of the virtues. Sleep tappeth on mine eye, and it turneth heavy. Sleep toucheth my mouth, and it remaineth open. Verily, on soft souls doth it come to me, the dearest of thieves, and stealeth from me my thoughts. Stupid do I then stand, like this academic chair. But not much longer do I then stand, I already lie. When Zarathustra heard the wise man thus speak, he laughed in his heart, for thereby had a light dawned upon him, and thus spake he to his heart. A fool seemeth this wise man with his 40 thoughts, but I believe he knoweth well how to sleep. Happy even is he who liveth near this wise man. Such sleep is contagious. Even through a thick wall it is contagious. A magic resideth even in his academic chair, and not in vain did the youths sit before the preacher of virtue. His wisdom is to keep awake in order to sleep well. And verily, if life had no sense, and I had to choose nonsense, this would be the desirablest nonsense for me also. Now know I well what people sought formerly above all else when they sought teachers of virtue. Good sleep they sought for themselves, and poppy-head virtues to promote it. To all those belauded sages of the academic chairs, wisdom was sleep without dreams. They knew no higher significance of life. Even at present, to be sure, there are some like this preacher of virtue, and not always so honourable. But their time is past, and not much longer do they stand. There they already lie. Blessed are those drowsy ones, for they shall soon nod to sleep. Thus spake Zarathustra. I'm going to leave the reading there, and we're going to do a little bit of exploring today. How the time flies, I should be reading more. So, let's go for a little wander, shall we? Let's go to a random place. I will take a little stroll. Let's see where I end up. Let's see where indeed. Oh, excuse me. And so we re-enter the hall of the king, in his palace within the earth. There are times when we're wondering, that I wonder where the light comes from. Does it come from... Well, honestly, I don't know. I was wondering if it came from the bright eyes of the shade, reflecting, well, not reflecting, but shining throughout the caves, bringing light to this otherwise dark location. Or is it that there are crystals, as can be seen adorning the walls of the junction of stairs at the top of this room? Do they cast some light? Or is it yet something else that we do not know? But what I do know, and what I am choosing to believe, is that what this is trying to show us is that even as we wander in dark corridors of our own minds, as can sometimes be, even in those dark places, as long as we keep going, we will find light. And that light should be used to see out of the darkness. I don't believe that the point of this is to forget that that darkness is there, but to remember that that there is also the light as well as the dark. And to never stop looking for the light, no matter how dark things might seem. If you look hard enough, you will find the light. Things get made confusing, and the tunnels of the mind might get a bit, well, you might get lost in them for a while. But if you just keep going, no matter how many dead ends you might find, you will find the way out of the dark tunnels eventually. And I think that's an important thing to remember. A very important thing to remember. And sometimes what this walking to a random place shows is that no matter what we might be feeling, the mind can randomly walk to the light areas and to the dark alike. But the thing I would like everyone to take away is that no matter how far into the dark we walk, if we just keep walking, the light will be there eventually. Whoa, what was that? It had a thing pop up. Oh, it could have been a piece of coal. That's unfortunate. Well, since we were going that way, let's see if we can reassert the random stroll this way. Since this is where we were already going, and I interrupted it. Which I feel is another good point. Something as simple as that. A little piece of coal on the floor. Something trivial can interrupt the brain or the thoughts straying to the dark or even to the light. Something so simple can impact. But the main thing is to remember to just keep going. I'm curious to see where we will be led this evening. And again, another random flash, but this time I'm not going to fall prey to being distracted by it. We're going to see this through to its conclusion. We're going to follow the dark tunnel and see where it takes us. Who knows, we may find something beautiful in the dark that we may have otherwise missed. And again, a little flash. However, I have noticed that a few times it seems to do that just as we get to a door, and I do see the thing up here, but as I say, I'm not going to interrupt this thought. Oh, sorry, this path. Oh my. That was a nice trip. And what have we found here? This looks like it might be a crystal. Similar to what we see in the halls of the light. And look, a hidden area that we otherwise would not necessarily have found had we not gone and followed. Oh, my nose is not quite sharp enough to carve out this crystal. Maybe I can find a handy mattock somewhere. We know where there's a mattock, we just need to wait for the time to pass. But just think, we would not have been aware of this crystal had we not followed the dark tunnels. And it looks like this crystal may actually be quite beautiful in its own way. So we're going to head back. We're going to try and remember where this is, although I'm not going to deny that I might struggle to remember that. But we are going to pick up whatever this is. Which is probably a piece of coal, to be honest. It is a lump of coal. Oh no, no, no. Didn't mean to go through the door. I wanted to try and aim for that lower door. While we're down here, we'll take one quick look around. And we'll see where this lower door ends up. It may well lead us to that door that we saw at the other side of the black crystal. I hear the sound of running water. Interesting. I don't. Hang on. I do faintly hear it. No, I didn't say push. I believe there is running water behind that boulder. Though I don't believe we're ready to handle that running water just yet. So these are two doors that I want to remember. This is a junction that, whilst it is in the dark, it is also leading to beauty. To things we don't want to forget. So we're going to save this and come back to it. But for now, let's head home. Let's go back and see if everything is all right. I'm glad we made that trip. We found two very interesting locations. And now we're heading home. And on our way home, let's remember that in order to see the light, you must also be aware of the dark. Otherwise it's just the same. Cannot be one without the other. There's a strange feeling in those caves, in the darkness. I can't quite put my finger on it. But it makes me think of something and remember. But I'm not entirely sure what. Maybe as time goes on and we get the chance to reflect on it more, maybe it will come back to me. But for now, let's head back to the comfort of what we know, of our chair, where we can sit and stare. Part of the reason I didn't want to push the boulder is because I couldn't foresee where the water would end up going. Which meant that all I was thinking is, would it flood the chamber, and would we then lose access to the dark crystal hidden in that cave? And that is not something I want. I do wonder what is going through the king's head as they sleep. Are they dreaming? Are they just passing the time in darkness, alone in their own mind? Having said that, could this be a metaphor? That we are the shade, passing the time of the king's mind. That's an interesting thought. That we are actually the king's mind, passing the time, and by leaving the caves, that would harm the king, because these caves are the mind of the king. This feels... I shouldn't be thinking this. This probably has no bearing whatsoever. The shade is probably not the king's mind. But now that I think it, maybe it could be. And by awakening the king, we set the tone of how the king is, based on how we have spent this time. if we spend it sat not exploring, not doing anything, does that make the king unhappy? Or will he wake to be happier knowing that we've filled the time with anything? Does not look like we've added anything or removed anything from our thoughts. Never mind. With that in mind, though, I'm going to sit and stare in our red comfy chair, and I'm going to call it the end of the episode. And I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon or night, no matter what time of day it is. Have a wonderful one of it, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.